Here's something nobody tells you before you click Buy on a new camera. The spec sheet can look fantastic, the price can look like a steal, and you can still walk away with a camera that fights you every single time you try to use it. In 2026, camera companies are still selling bodies built on processors and autofocus systems from years ago, dressed up with a fresh coat of marketing. And if you don't know what to look for, it is incredibly easy to spend $500, $800, even $1,500 on a camera that quietly holds your creativity back. That is exactly what we are breaking down today. We are counting down 5 cameras that, despite still being sold and still being popular, come with buying mistakes you need to know about before you spend your money. We are going from number 5 all the way to number 1, and I promise you, the camera sitting at the very top of this list is going to surprise a lot of you. It is one of the most recommended starter cameras out there, and almost nobody talks about why that recommendation might be outdated. Before we jump in, if you're into camera reviews, comparisons, buying guides, and the latest camera releases, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Let's get into it. Starting off at number 5, we have the Canon EOS R100, and this is the camera people buy when they want to get into Canon's RF system cheap. The problem is what that cheapness actually costs you. Buyers usually expect a modern mirrorless experience with quick, confident autofocus, and on paper the R100 looks like it delivers that. It runs a 24.1 megapixel APS-C CMOS sensor paired with a Digic 8 processor, which is the same processing platform Canon was using years before this camera even launched. Dual-pixel CMOS AF covers 143 zones with around 3,975 selectable points for stills, and honestly, for photos, it works reasonably well with solid eye and face detection. Image quality out of the sensor is genuinely fine for social media, prints, and everyday shooting. The autofocus story falls apart, though, the moment you switch to video. That is because the video side of this camera is where the real mistake shows up. The R100 tops out at 4K at 24 frames per second, and that 4K comes with a 1.5x crop, which turns your wide kit lens into something closer to a cramped 43mm. Worse, dual-pixel AF simply is not available in 4K. The camera drops back to old-school contrast detect autofocus, which hunts, drifts, and struggles to keep a moving subject sharp. Full HD holds up much better, recording up to 60 frames per second with the full dual-pixel system working properly, but you are stuck at 8-bit color the entire time, there is no in-body stabilization, and the fixed rear screen does not tilt or touch, which content creators especially will notice fast. If video matters to you at all, look at the Canon EOS R50 instead. Now let's move to number 4, where the story is almost the exact opposite problem. At number 4 is the Sony ZV-E10, a camera that built its entire reputation on being the vlogger's go-to entry point into Sony's E-mount system. Buyers pick this one up expecting Sony's famous autofocus reliability in a cheap, compact body, and to be fair, they mostly get it. The sensor is a 24.2 megapixel APS-C XMR CMOS chip running through the Bion's X processor, driving a 425-point fast hybrid autofocus system with real-time IAF for both stills and video. Focus tracking is genuinely one of the best things about this camera, and image quality from the sensor holds its own against competitors in this price range. The mistake buyers make in 2026 is assuming this level of autofocus performance comes wrapped in equally modern hardware everywhere else. Video tells the real story here. The ZV-E10 records UHD 4K up to 30 frames per second using full pixel readout with 6K oversampling, which sounds impressive, and Full HD tops out at 120 frames per second for slow motion. But everything is locked to 8-bit color depth, there is number 10-bit option anywhere in this camera, and there is no in-body image stabilization at all, only Sony's electronic active mode, which crops your frame further to smooth out handheld shake. Battery life is modest too, since the small NP FW50 was never designed for heavy video sessions. If you want the newer sensor, 10-bit color, and proper 4K 60, the Sony ZV-E10 II solves nearly every one of these problems for a similar price. Let's move up to number 3, a camera that flips the crop versus no crop debate in the opposite direction. Number 3 on our list is the Nikon Z30, Nikon's dedicated vlogging and content creation camera. Buyers come to this one expecting a lightweight, creator-first camera, and expectations are usually set by its headline feature, full-width, uncropped 4K. Where it falls behind is everywhere else on the spec sheet. The Z30 uses a 20.9 megapixel APS-C DX sensor paired with the X6 processor, and its hybrid autofocus system relies on 209 phase detection points with genuinely strong eye and face tracking that locks on quickly and rarely lets go. Image quality is solid, colors are pleasing straight out of camera, and for stills work it performs like a camera well above its price point. Where 2026 buyers get caught off guard is the video package once you look past that headline number. Yes, the Z30 shoots UHD 4K at up to 30 frames per second with no crop, and Full HD climbs to 120 frames per second for slow motion, but there is no in-body stabilization whatsoever, meaning you are entirely dependent on lens-based VR or a heavily cropping electronic VR mode for smooth handheld footage. There is also no headphone jack, so monitoring audio means watching on-screen meters instead of actually listening. Battery life is short, the card slot is single UHSI only, and there is no viewfinder at all, so bright outdoor shooting means squinting at the rear screen. If you need an EVF or in-body stabilization, the Nikon Z52 is worth comparing first. Now we're halfway up the list, and number 2 is a camera a lot of you will be surprised to see here. Coming in at number 2 is the Canon EOS R8, and this one is a genuine trap because the specs genuinely look outstanding. Buyers expect a full-frame mirrorless camera at this price to come with some serious trade-offs, and Canon clearly decided which corner to cut. The R8 shares its 24.2 megapixel full-frame CMOS sensor with the excellent EOS R6 Mark II, paired with the Digic X processor and dual-pixel CMOS AF2 across 1053 autofocus points. Autofocus performance, subject detection, and image quality here are legitimately excellent, competing with cameras costing hundreds of dollars more. This is where buyers get lulled into thinking they found a flawless deal. The catch shows up once you start shooting for real. Video is genuinely impressive on paper too, with uncropped 4K up to 60 frames per second oversampled from 6K, 10-bit 4:2:2 color, and Full HD up to 180 frames per second for slow motion, plus a max record time of 2 hours. But Canon removed in-body image stabilization entirely to hit this price point, which is a massive omission on a full-frame body designed to attract content creators and run-and-gun shooters. You also only get a single SD card slot, and battery life from the small LP E17 is noticeably short for a camera built to shoot long video sessions. If IBIS is a deal-breaker for you, the extra money for an EOS R6 Mark II is worth strongly considering. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, number 1. At number 1 is a camera you have absolutely seen recommended 100 times as the perfect first camera, the Canon EOS 2000D, also sold as the Rebel T7. Buyers pick this one expecting an easy, beginner-friendly entry point into photography, and in fairness, the price makes that promise easy to believe. It is built around a 24.1 megapixel APS-C CMOS sensor, which sounds current, but it is paired with the Digic 4 Plus processor, a chip that was already aging when this camera first launched years ago. Autofocus is where buyers feel the age most, with only 9 autofocus points and just a single cross-type point in the center. In live view or video, the camera switches to slow contrast detect autofocus that visibly hunts, especially indoors or in anything less than good light. The video capabilities are where this camera becomes an outright mistake for 2026 buyers. There is no 4K recording at all, not even a cropped version. You are limited to Full HD at 1080p, capped at 30 frames per second, with no 60 frames per second option for smoother motion and no slow motion modes whatsoever. Color depth is 8-bit only. There is no in-body or digital stabilization, the rear screen is a fixed, non-touch 920,000 display, and burst shooting tops out at a sluggish 3 frames per second. Battery life on the optical viewfinder is actually one of its few strengths, but that is about where the good news ends for anyone planning to shoot video. If you want an actual entry point into 2026 content creation, cameras like the Canon EOS R50 or R100 will get you dramatically further for not much more money. So let's bring it all together. The Canon EOS R100 gives you Canon's RF mount but hands you a crippled 4K mode in return. The Sony ZV-E10 nails autofocus but skips 10-bit color and stabilization entirely. The Nikon Z30 shoots gorgeous uncropped 4K but leaves you without a viewfinder or stabilization. The Canon EOS R8 tempts you with full-frame quality while quietly dropping IBIS. And the Canon EOS 2000D, still recommended constantly as a first camera, simply cannot keep up with what 2026 content creation actually demands. None of these are bad cameras in isolation, But every single one of them asks you to accept a serious compromise that a lot of buyers don't discover until after they've already spent the money. Before you purchase any of these, take a few minutes to compare them against the newer alternatives we mentioned along the way. Now I want to hear from you. Which camera do you think deserves to be on this list? Drop your pick in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss future camera comparisons. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.